first speaker of this session, which is Laura Lewis, who's a lived experience advocate, and her session is Change Requires Lived Experience Disruptors. Please welcome Laura.
Hi. I respectfully acknowledge the traditional owners of the land which we meet and pay my respect to elders past and present and all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. I'm not nervous at all. It's been a while. I would like to extend a warm greeting to my fellow lived experience peers who, like me, live with stigma due to our mental health variances. I would like to thank the amazing practitioners who are passionate and compassionate. Thank you to the organisers of this conference and for welcoming me to speak today. Throughout my allocated time, you will hear me talk about how I thrive, how I falter, and how we should always be looking to improve systems and language. How a lived experience person questioning the way things are is not a rebellion, but a possible pathway to a better option. My two most painful and pervasive betrayals have been from people in my life who abused their power. I was 4 when my grandfather sexually abused me. This filled me with a shame I cannot shake. My now ex-psychiatrist is my other betrayer. I am far more damaged from his neglect and pompous self-reverence than from the actions of my sexual abuser. With my ex-psychiatrist, all could have been avoided if he practiced person-centered care and was expected to participate in ongoing professional development. I've lived my whole life filled with self-loathing, feeling too much for some, and yet found wanting by others. I found myself and my courage at 49, after a late diagnosis of autism and ADHD. A liberating moment, but one that was unsupported, and I endured so many sliding door moments. Could I have avoided electroconvulsive therapy at 41, which left me with a permanent short-term memory impairment? Hence the notes. I can't remember anything. Could I have avoided many painful moments of rejection and exclusion with an understanding of my neurotype and why sensory and social is so bewildering? And then add menopause to the mix and how it has decimated my already challenged executive functioning skills. Then you have one fierce and feisty angry person here. I have far too many achievements to share, but my top 3 would be winning the TEDx Brisbane 1-minute pitch last year. Have I accessed my prize yet? No, because it involves a level of executive functioning that I currently cannot action. I have also spoken in Canberra at Parliament House, addressed the Senate Select Committee on Autism and the Queensland Government Mental Health Committee last year. By far my proudest achievement are my children and helping my autistic son, who is now 21, start his own thriving business. He has been training successfully for 6 years. I thrive. I surely do thrive. Notice I start with all the positives. Right, now I want to talk about trauma. We all experience tough times. Some of us are able to shrug it off and continue with our lives. They are the shammies. They absorb trauma and can still function as expected. Then there are the people who absorb trauma and leak it out everywhere. We are the sponges. We experience it but cannot continue functioning as needed. There is a need for both shammies and sponges out there. Trauma impacts people differently. It should never be minimised. We are not disordered for not managing trauma. So please, Keep this analogy in mind. Do you know what person-centered care is? It is a term for an individual's unique, I changed the slide too soon, but anyway, an individual's unique preferences, values and needs. The desire to be seen as an individual and be involved in the discussions and choices agreed upon around the care we prefer. Agency and empowerment are very important facets of care and the holistic approaches we need. When I say I loathe cognitive and behaviour therapy and it is still used by a practitioner, I will not respond. I will have already shared to them that acceptance and commitment therapy is far more suitable and relevant for me. Having acceptance and commitment therapy used empowers me and I feel heard. After a lifetime of confusion in social settings due to my late autism diagnosis, this is very, very important that I feel heard in this area. There is research out there around trauma in later diagnosed autistic women. Clem Bastow co-authored a very good paper. Reading their words validated my experiences. Autistic anxiety is vastly different to DSM-5 anxiety. Autistic anxiety, DSM-5 anxiety. Different. Speaking from my own experience, my anxiety is a result of sensory overload, overwhelm, burnout, and a lifetime of thinking I was always wrong. How do you undo this? I don't know, but I want acknowledgement and understanding rather than an unexpected form received in the mail this January, signed by my psychiatrist, changing my diagnosis to borderline personality disorder with no consultation or warning. I nearly suicided over that. It's an outrageous way of communicating what was an actual incorrect diagnosis. I have since had it changed back by him because it was untrue. How dare he? I haven't told him this because I refused to pay for another appointment with him. I hold on to trauma for far too long because I do not understand or have a point of reference. I experience emotional dysregulation because of the trauma I have endured. Yet I intentionally hide my big emotions from practitioners because my mental health history. Typical people can sing loud, laugh hysterically, and cry with abandonment, but not us mad folk. Because by golly, what happens is we get told we are disordered. Please take a photo of this slide, and if you're not aware of the first 2 points, which is window of tolerance and spoon theory, learn about them. It is not my job to provide the professional development you need to help treat the growing number of neurodivergent folk. I actually have crossed out this out, and I'm going to read it to you. I'm happy though to share more knowledge if you pay me.
Good.
Let's talk about disruption. I'm going to share a couple of experiences I have encountered as a patient in a private psychiatric facility. These are typical experiences and I believe are in breach of our rights in accordance with the Human Rights Commission and probably many other things. As a patient at this facility, they take a photo of you on admission and that is added to your medication chart. Yet, when you're lining up for medication, usually with a dozen or so other patients lining up behind you, you're expected to share your full name and date of birth. There is no privacy, and I personally find this very intrusive. The nurse will then read out the list of medications they are dispensing to you. Again, a massive breach of privacy. When you raise this as an issue, the response is, but this is how it's always been done. I can guarantee you that is a response I have never given anybody raising a concern. We as inpatients are people with amazing lives. We are loved and we deserve better than this. Let's also talk about language. And there are so many things I could address, but I'm choosing one. My ADHD medication is locked up in a safe when I'm an inpatient. This is a perfectly acceptable practice for many reasons. I've asked my nurses many times to call my ADHD medication just plain old medication, instead of a dangerous drug, because words matter. Dangerous drug just adds to the whole illusion of disordered. It is a medication, it helps me function. I tell the nurse this each time. They must think I'm a pain in the ass, but I don't care. And the thing is, I also tell them that my son has been taking this medication since he was 6. Remember, he's 21. And not once was I tempted to try it. Not once did I sell it. Not once was it stored irresponsibly. The whole notion of, but this is how it's always been done, has been debunked so many times. Lobotomies, coal mines. It is okay for patients to question processes without feeling the risk of being discharged prematurely. That happens. It is okay for patients to make recommendations. You're too scared to. The power imbalance must be torn down. In fact, I find the whole concept of psychiatric facilities being owned by public companies who look out for the interests of their shareholders quite a conflict. Pathologising autistic people hurts us. I think I've missed some slides here. I personally am very self-aware, and just like the social model of disability, I can assure you that my trauma and resulting anxiety has been environmental. I am not disordered. In fact, there is much about my brain I love, and I can make patterns and connections that are not seen by others. Disruption is healthy. Women vote thanks to suffragettes. Climate change is more talked about thanks to protesters. The Voice is a very important referendum coming up. We have equal marriage rights. Asking for change is not about glancing behind us and shaming. It is about looking ahead and making smoother pathways. What is my call to actions? And what should happen? I can't say, because I'm just one voice. My voice and many others are needed continually to ensure best practice, person-centered care, and the avoidance of festering processes. I can say this because I have suffered from these festering processes. The embracing of mad pride, the embracing of different neurotypes, the understanding that we are not disordered, but rather sponges that have absorbed too much, and what we need is not a clinical experience, but a rich and rewarding pathway of recovery is vital. And I have to say about recovery, I don't like the word either. I was a bit lazy writing that. Words matter. Respect how we prefer to use them. Don't tell us the words that suit you. My email address is down there. You're very welcome to contact me. I'm also on LinkedIn. We don't all have the privilege of a tertiary education. I don't. I left school halfway through grade 11. I couldn't cope with organising the workload because I was autistic and I didn't know what to do. Anyway, and all those with a tertiary education cannot speak for those with a lived experience of a mental health variance. Thank you very much.
We've got some time, so I want to ask if there's any questions for Laura. Well, Laura, I've got a question No. I want to ask, I specifically noticed your words mental health variants. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Because I just think a mental health presentation is very different in every person, and it should be called a variance. Yes, we definitely have moments where we will be unwell and where we need supports. We're being told we have disorders, and perhaps sometimes, for instance, the stigma associated with borderline personality disorder should not exist for a start, but that stigma impacted the way I received an incorrect diagnosis from my doctor. So I didn't want to be tarred with it. I'm owning it. I'm saying I didn't want to be tarred with it. But I also knew it was wrong, and I knew what he did was wrong as well. So if there's any psychiatrists in the room, by the way, I need a new psychiatrist. I'm not actually that demanding, you'd be surprised. I just need medication. I can't find one in Brisbane. They're all fully booked and books closed, etc. But yeah, thank you very much for listening. I hope you can take away some of this and share it with other people, and that you found it really helpful. But it's always done with kindness and compassion. Thanks.
Thank you. Another round of applause.